Hey everyone, and welcome to the punching bag training session. As you guys can see, I have 4 punching bags in front of me on the screen. These are punching bag sims, as I detailed in the punching bag chapter. So the idea here is button versus big blind range, and my opponent can't put any money actively into the pot. He can only call or fold, and I'm practicing basically growing the pot size according to my hand strength against this type of opponent. Now, as always, the caveats are, if our opponent would check raise his strong hands before the river, generally the top of your range can go a bit bigger, or all of your range can go a bit bigger. So it's a bit of a beginning practice. Maybe it's more suited for out of position play where opponents might wait longer to raise. But yeah, just as a reference point in terms of size and structure and what your hands want to do. Now, I'll show you guys again, for those of you who don't know how we make these, really quick. So, actually pretty cool. So, PO Solver, again, those with no PO, forgive me, we'll finish really fast. So, PO Solver has this add to the job queue button, and this lets you make tons and tons of sims based on the same parameters. So here, for example, I can say I want to load 128 different flops, and then basically automatically run the same sim, save small files, and just do it over and over again for all the board textures on the list. And these textures are kind of pre-selected to cover as many different attributes of boards. So you want to have paired boards, straight boards, flush boards, two-tone, ace high, and etc., etc. So these boards are not completely random. They actually cover a lot of good situations. And yeah, we don't need to run through everything here. I think it's self-explanatory and it's not important. So you run this, you end up with tons of sims in a directory, and then you just have tools. And tools has GTO trainer. And here you do like add a new pack, add the directory with the sims, and you get to start using it. And this is what you guys are seeing me do now. I'm just playing against the trainer. I'm actually not familiar with playing against the trainer, so you can see hints. I don't really feel like we're going to want to use hints too much, but maybe. So yeah, we got started. Here I have Jack 9 on ace, queen 8 with a bluff that has equity. I think you can probably mix anything, so we could probably just kind of go ahead to the next hand. We're more interested in main hands, but just to see that we understand correctly. So I got bet 28, and I want to see last action feedback, and you get the feedback that this is okay, and you hover over it, and you see, like I said, bluffs can go in any sizing. We're probably still bluffing the turn with Jack high, so it can still probably go in any sizing. Do this, and you see it's also okay. And again, all the sizings are okay. We get the fold, and we'll do a new hand. Okay, ace, king, 10, 5, 4. How much money does ace, king want to put in? If you ask me, this goes 25 and then check down on improved. Let's see if that's correct. Where this is like, it's pushing a bit of equity, but very, very little. So we go bet 25. And, okay. Looks like this hand was okay in all lines. We go check, just to make sure. Here it's okay to either check or bet 25 again on the 4, given how bricky the 4 is. I think I'm learning how to read the chart better. And queen on the river, of course, we have to check. No other option. Alright, so we check, and you guys can see it's only checking. Okay, so the new hand. And I guess we don't need all the other punching bags. We only need the one. So let's close these. We'll make this bigger. Then everything will look nicer. So 5-3 we'll quickly go through because any actions are okay when we're bluffing. And to the next one. King 3. Let's bet 25 and The next one, 8s on ace jack deuce. Strong enough to bet, I would guess it has to go 25 and then check down. So we bet 14, we get the fold. And in terms of what we do, you guys can see on the bottom that bet 25 and check are the only, bet 25 is the only realistic option. So when you have ace high board and you have a passive opponent and you have kind of pair, you do want to throw a bet in, but as small as possible pretty much, and that's it. Deal a new hand. Here, bluff. New hand. We'll bluff. Turn the gut shot. It's bet big. New hand. We're gonna practice. Okay, top set. Ace 10-4. Blocker effects, but wet dynamic board. What do you do with aces against a passive opponent? It's really important. You never check, you never quarter pot, you never half pot. I think you go pot 75 or pot. I'd probably go pot. Yeah, you guys can see I bet pot and get the fold. And in terms of how frequently we do things, which is what we're going to look for, I'm just looking at the percents, not at the numbers below the percent. You guys can see that pot is basically 81% of the time, 75% pot the rest of the time, and you never do anything small. So against a passive opponent, even though you block everything, and maybe you'd want to check back, let him improve, the answer is no. You just bomb away with aces. Okay. Here, ace 4, I would guess is 25 or check. I think this is more of a check hand. Let's click check, and you guys can see that, no, it's actually too weak to check against a passive opponent. This gets mixed like a bluff among all the sizings. Checking is a small mistake. And after, if we assume checking is a small mistake, then I assume we now start bluffing. And the answer is yes, but sizings are different, and I don't think that's too important. So yeah, keep going. 4-5-5, pocket 8s. How much is it worth? Definitely want to start with a big bet and lower the bet as we go forwards because we want protection. So I would guess something like 75 flop, 25 turn, check back river. Let's see if that's correct. Click 75. You guys can see that on the flop 75 is the preferred sizing, and if not, we go pot and we get the queen turn. I think now I would go 25, and here on the turn, and you can see we go, I want to point with my finger because if I move the mouse it disappears, but we go either 25 or 50, and then river definitely check back, and no other option but check back the river. Okay, here our opponent shows down 6-7, so first time we saw showdown. Here, whatever, bet something, bet, check. You can check too. And in the punching bag sim, you don't often bet check that because you don't have hands that do that. So I'd probably check down and assume that we can't realistically bet because we don't slow play ever. But of course you can against opponents if you want to bluff. Okay, so here, Jack 10. So such a good draw, I would put in the big bet range. I think it hits often enough where that's... And yeah, you guys can see with a good draw, the preferred option by far against a passive opponent is to start building the pot. Logic behind this. So why do we want to bomb with a big draw against a passive opponent? Well, this is, like we said, bluffs don't care, but value hands want big pots. And this is going to be a value hand, like 30-ish% of the time by the river. So we want a big pot, because if it misses, whatever, you have your bluff equity, your fold equity. If it hit, we want to treat it as a value bet. We want to have the pot be big. Okay, 8s on ace check check we saw is 25, and here I presume check down. Can't bet anymore. Oh, and we get the river 8. How big do we go on the river 8 with pocket 8s? Someone who never ever bets, so he still has his ace jacks, his jack fours, his jack eights. Can we actually shove? I would guess no. I would guess we go 150%. And that, yeah, you guys can see shoving if your opponent's slow playing everything is overplaying your hand by a decent bit. It's actually significantly, it's even worse than half potting. You really don't want to shove. Right. So new hand, queen 3, let's go quarter. We turn a flush draw, so now I want to bet big, because sometimes I have a value hand on the river, so let's say pot the turn, and yeah, you guys can see doesn't like the pot. Maybe because of the 3, you want to keep the 3 more alive by betting smaller. But yeah, this is a negligible difference, but likes to go smaller, and then river whatever, I'll give up. I have queen high. We'll bet queen high spades, so bad blockers. Okay, here, jack 9, let's bet half pot. Doesn't like that by a little bit. Right, it would rather go bigger. I don't know why. Turn flush draw. Let's bet half pot again. You guys can see that's the correct sizing now. How did I guess half pot? I think with the jack and 9 both being overs to the 6, I just wanted to avoid really big bets to keep my outs more alive. And then on the river, I think again having clubs, probably don't want to bet. But like betting any size is just going to be losing. So yeah, even though our opponents are passive, like we said, that means their ranges are actually strong. We still have to think, what are we doing with our hand to their range? We have this accomplisher thought process where, I want to keep my jack and my 9 alive, so I won't bet too big. A6, so judging from before with ace 4, this will be bluffed, and I would guess maybe a big sizing. Let's go with this. And yeah, you guys can see, so I'm already learning something. Button versus big blind, king, queen, 4, you're not trying to show down a6, it's too weak. You would rather turn it into a bluff and then, presumably keep barreling. Here the ace is going to stay alive even with a big bet. 6 of spades, tough to say. I'll go with a big bet here, but not too big. If I go too big, I narrow my opponent's range too much where the ace isn't live. Let's go half pot turn, and here you guys can see again kind of the logic of keeping your outs live. Because we have the ace of clubs, 6 of spades, and we want to keep the ace of clubs live, we can bluff the turn fairly often, but not pot or bigger, because pot or bigger opponent's range narrows and narrows. The ace starts being not a card that you hit and win, and then wrong hand to bluff with. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Of course, like we saw, the really big draws will want to bluff bigger. So yeah, let's get to the river. On the river, really important, right? Is this ever a bluff? No, never. Why? Because it has some amount of showdown value, presumably. So I would guess this never bluffs. And you can see it actually does sometimes bluff. Does sometimes bluff, but the dominant strategy is to check. You never bluff small, and maybe you start bluffing big sometimes. But generally, I'd advise not bluffing these. Here, ace, king, 7, deuce, deuce. Feels like it's worth more than quarter, so I'd go maybe half pot flop. And we see that is correct. The hand is strong enough to half pot flop. It's probably strong enough to quarter pot the turn. Here, I missed. It's actually a check back on the 8. So half pot into check back, it's like a... I don't know what... I missed by one slot, but missed. So half pot into check back, because the board's so dynamic, we don't go quarter, we go 50, and then check down, and then obviously check down the river. Win against ace 10. Okay, here queen 5. So queen 5 wants to get money in. It's not in a rush. I would guess again 25-25 check if I had to guess something around that. So we'll go 25. As you can see, it can go either 25 or 50. Jack of hearts, I will go 25 again, and here says 25 is okay, but really the hand's weak enough to just check. And then 5 of clubs, so we went 25, 25, turn was even too thin. We now improve on the river to 2 pair. And how much money do you want to put in? I would say a half pot. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but intuitively, and yeah, I actually guessed correct. It's just half pot if our opponent still has all the nuts in his range. Okay, so we're going to keep going, keep learning as much as we can. Here, start with a half pot bet. You guys can see that any bluff is okay except the small one. I'm not sure what's wrong with the small one. 3 of clubs turn. I think it's a nice hand to keep firing with 2 overs to the board and a club blocker. I don't think having a 6 or 7 is super crucial for in probably huge bets you want them though. So let's say we go half pot again. And here you see that this hand on the turn can check back or go half pot. It cannot go big again, probably narrowing our opponent's range too much to the point where queen and 9 aren't very good. And then on the river, not having club is bad. Not having a 6 or 7 is probably a bit bad. So let's check back. Oh, I make a big mistake. So this is a clear river bluff. Apparently, you would rather not have a 6, not have a 7. Club's not too bad. I guess I want my opponent to have like a 4-6, 4-7 type hand and fold. And this is more blocking his trips. So yeah, makes sense. So actually, first biggish mistake. Here, king 7-7. We don't need protection. It's not worth much value. So let's start with a quarter pot. As you can see, that's the only size. And now we improve to not both, but we have the big blocker effects. So I would guess after going quarter and improving in this way, how big is the pot? Pot's 83. Let's go 75 maybe. So we see 75 and 50 would also be okay, and we get the fold. Here, let's start with a quarter. Mistake. I don't know why. Maybe we don't. I really don't know why. Then on the turn, this seems good enough for any size, but it's not too big. Let's go quarter again. So it says quarter again is its preferred size, again keeping the 10 and the 8 live, and we get to the river. Two high cards turned, let's follow through with another quarter pot river bet, but mostly give up. Okay, 7-5. We have to bet flop, we want protection, let's start with half pot. Half pot main size. Here, not very valuable, probably start with quarter pot. Get called, and now the hand is obviously worthless, so check. Only option, check only option. And here would be Jack 9 from a passive opponent. Queen 10 open, and a really, really good hand. Let's start with a big bet. Let's go pot. And you guys can see that with Queen 10, with a good draw, pot or 75. Those are the options. Anything else would actually be a mistake because this is as good as a value hand. Okay, here Queen 3, let's go 25%, and actually check the turn. Ooh, can't check the turn. Have to keep firing for 25 again. And then river deuce, 6-6, Queen 3. It's Queen high. I don't know. I would check down. Seems that's okay. Bluffing again also okay. Here, probably go 25 into check down, maybe 50. So yeah, you can see 25 or 50 is correct, and then obviously we just check down. Here, let's go 50. And then let's go 25. And you guys can see on the turn, all the options are okay. Pretty much with Jack 10, everything seems reasonable. I was thinking, it's 2 overs, get some value against straight draws, but not too much. I don't know, it's not too important. Here we'll go with, it seems so bad. I want to check. Let's check. No checking. bet something. Open ender. Let's once we get here, let's pot. Pot too big. The flush there, you want to go smaller. King 10. Really dynamic board. I would maybe go pot. It feels like almost an overplay, so probably 7. No, I'd go pot. And you can see that's the best sizing. It's almost an overplay. I just want the money in really fast, so I'd go pot, and then the 9's really connected. I'd just go 25%, which is wow. Okay, it would have gone. Right, where's the last action feedback? This looks like... Oh, this is the last action feedback. Yeah, so it would have bombed again with King 10. I'm surprised. I was undervaluing the hand. And then, yeah, on the river top 2, overbet? No, it's way strong enough to shove. I messed up. No, I see all the straight draws. I got scared. Oh, so this is my mistake, because we potted the flop, so our opponent doesn't have 7-6, Jack 7. So the hand's a lot stronger than it seems. Okay, you live, you learn. Let's go 50 and check down. So we go 50, 50 or 20. Yeah, you can even go bigger. Okay, here let's go 25. Turn the gut shot with a king. That has to be good enough to go big. Let's pot. It's alright-ish, but rather have pot and then river with the 8. Probably want to bluff, so let's bluff. And anything's okay except checking or shoving. Okay, so here probably start with a 50. You can see you can start 50 or 25. We'll start 25. Or check. Yeah, I hope this is useful practice for you guys. I feel like as we're going along, I'm definitely learning a few nuances and new things, and hopefully, we want to use this in the end to integrate this into our games. We have to practice to get the process more and more automatic. So 9-8 can go anything, maybe except check. I guess you never check against the weak guys. You always bet something, and bets are mostly not going to be too big. Ooh, snapped. Okay. King 9. This actually looks like a check downable hand to me, so I'll check down the hand strength. Still check down. Still check down. Okay. New hand. A6. I want to start betting. I want the bets to be bigger on earlier streets still, I guess. So maybe 50-25 check because of the draws. We go 50. You can see it's 50 or 25, and then we turn a value hand. So we need to make up for lost time, and I think overbet the turn. You guys can see overbet is the preferred sizing. Here we have 4s. I'm guessing 25% main size. And then done. Jack 8 can go 25. Then, probably whatever. Oh, solver hates 25. It always checks Jack 8. Apparently it's... I guess no diamond, no 5, no deuce. I'm not sure, but that doesn't feel too important. And yeah, we get to the river. Let's give up. Ouch. You can see why 5 and diamond are important. So here we'll go 25. The fold. I feel like I'm winning more than my fair share. Queen Jack, almost showdownable. Probably bet 25. Yeah, and then turn a jack, and again, it's almost showdownable, but probably bet 25. Yeah, bet 25 is correct, and then it has to be a showdown. Okay, and I think like the way you would play against a passive villain generally, for a lot of guys, autopilot would be check back queen jack, then check back when you hit the jack, and then make some bet on the river. And so letting him... it just makes less sense, right? You're letting him realize his equity better. You want the bets in sooner with a hand. Now, the other option would be maybe you range bet flop, he calls, and then you hit the jack and you check down when, the jack is good enough to keep betting another small bet if you have the small bet in your arsenal. And you might be like, oh, let's check back turn bet the river to see what he does. Which, yeah, fair enough. If the guy's not a punching bag, I hit the jack, I might check back the turn and then only value bet on the river. It all depends how punching baggy the guy is. So here, I feel like fives is worth half pot given the protection. I just half pot flop and check down. And we can see half pot or quarter pot, okay. Here, this is whatever, let's half pot, turn is straight. But there's flush and pair. I guess half pot again would be my size, and you can see that's a big mistake. I'm overplaying my hand. It's worth 25, and if it's worth 25, presumably river is. Ooh, I messed up again. River is worth. Ooh, okay. So here we're learning something new. So solver likes to go on the flush. It likes to go 25 on the turn with 10-8, and then bomb the river. So this is one of the first times where we see it go opposite, and probably because it has control over what's going on. It's like, you know, on the turn you're getting called by all these hands that have tons of outs against you. So there's less incentive to go huge. You don't want to narrow your opponent's range too much. Maybe you even want to give him close to pot odds to call with some spades and some draws. And then on the river, when his range is really wide, you get to actually bomb once you get the brick. But you rather wait, opposite of what you think. You wait to see the clean river before bombing. It's really interesting. Okay, let's keep going. Ace-10, this looks like a 25. No, it's actually better to go 50. Probably 25 again. And we're done. Here, definitely 25 and definitely check, turn, and then. So on the river, we would river some sevens to value bet with, and presumably sixes could go in the size of sevens to bet. So I would assume if we have a 7, we can, say, go 75% pot, and then that's an okay size. Let's see. So Pio would rather check or go small. I'm not sure why. Queen Jack. So this should probably start with 75. If I had to guess, you guys can see 75 or pot. For I guess 75 again and then check back the river. No, it's 25. Again, not reading the 4 well enough, given I didn't pot the flop and all the draws get here. It's apparently a really good card. Here, Jack 5, I would start with half pot. You can see main size and then check down. I think really important, right? It's very natural to go quarter, but half makes more sense for a 5, funny enough. Here, Ace-10, I guess quarter, and check, and check. Okay. So go quarter, and half pot. You can see half pot is fine, but it's a bit overplaying. Quarter would have been better. Here we'll go half pot. Okay, here we will go, I think 50 into 25. So we start off with 50. Yeah, seems like a good size. Okay, I think I will pause the punching bag drilling here. Definitely learned a few things. Number one thing we learned is that if the flush turns or it's a monotone board, you actually wait until the river for your big bet to make sure you're putting in the money well. No reason to, like that. There is a reason to see how the board runs out before starting to make big bets. Number two thing we learned is that when you have a big draw on the flop, it's important to size it like your big hands because it actually is just a big hand. So we saw that the medium weak bluffs go along with the medium weak hands, like the bluffs and the hands kind of go hand in hand. So last thing, and this is really important, is that when you bomb flop with a hand like a good top pair, villain can't peel random gut shots and stuff like that. And then you can actually keep bombing on kind of connected looking cards and kind of close your eyes and fire away because there will be a lot less straights and stuff than you might be used to seeing if you're used to small bet sizes. yeah, other than that, just kind of drilling. I would recommend you guys try this for yourselves a little bit. You can try it for different positions as well. You can drill with your own punching bag sizes. And the idea is, again, to just kind of get into your head what your hand wants. What does your hand want to do? It's very useful against passive opponents. It's useful to understand solver outputs in general. When you're reading a solver output, knowing how much money the hand wants to put in always helps. And yeah, like we saw, I think, from the live play, some of the players you're going to want to play like this, so it's important to understand how this works. And keep saying, so we don't forget, there is more complexity to it because people do bet, so sometimes you will want to put in a check to see that the other guy doesn't have the good hand. So you might check back flop, then he'll stab everything good, and then you can cap him and size more accurately. If you can do that, of course, do that. If you think he will check raise some part of the top of his range, you can go a bit bigger with good hands than this sim suggests, but still the order of the bets, etc., I think is fairly good and important. So, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.